Welcome to Disrupted Science, the occasional conversation between the authors of the upcoming book, How the Internet Disrupted Science, now available for pre-order. And the signings are starting to get on calendars, so we're excited about that. I'm Kent Anderson here with my co-author, Joy Moore, and today is Wednesday, May 27th, 2026. Hey, Joy.
Hey Kent, how's it going?
It's
Did you have a
going
good
okay.
did you have a good long weekend?
I did. I've had more hot dogs in the past 48 hours than probably is
Ah,
recommended, but well, every once in a while you have to go and have a really good grill charred hot dog with
mm-hmm.
all the fixins and some potato salad. How about you?
Yeah, I did. We had kind of lousy weather, and
Hmm.
so I didn't go to any hot dog grilling events. I do have a hot dog connection. Have you ever
Of course you
had
do.
Schwegel's hot dogs?
I have not.
So they're from Rochester, New York.
Okay.
And I have a friend who is from up that way, and she discovered that there is a grocery store in Virginia Beach that has them.
In Virginia
And
Beach.
yes, and so every time she goes there, she stocks up. And I was like, I'll take some Schwagels. And so I
Have they
do.
arrived?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
She brings
okay.
them to me every couple weeks.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and I'm the only person in this house who eats hot dogs, so I have to do it kind of, when I'm
On the sly.
on the slide. But if you're gonna eat a hot dog, eat a Schwegel. You
That's
can,
right. So
they
what's your
can.
topping of choice? I have to ask.
Oh, I'm a mustard, just a just a yellow mustard,
Just yellow mustard
straight up.
right
Yeah.
down the bun.
I
Yep.
mean, I'll do onions and sauerkraut, but don't
Mm.
put anything red on a
Mm.
hot dog. That is a
Okay.
no-go for me.
That's for babies, right?
Right.
Yep. Yeah, my daughter had went to see a friend run the Chicago Marathon and had her first Chicago hot dogs,
Oh
Chicago
yeah.
style hot dogs, and she says she still once in a while just wakes
Well,
up
they
thinking,
put all sorts of things on there,
oh,
like
peppers
all,
and tomatoes and
and
celery salt,
yeah.
and yeah, she said she
Well,
had them made proper.
again, it's kind of like a lobster roll. If it's prepared by a professional, then I'll take the toppings.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, we'll talk about the risk of amateurs is always out there. So, but anyhow, we were both kind of appreciating a professional historian on a podcast today,
Yeah.
and you got to it first, and then I was close behind, and you want to talk about a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Susanna Glickman is a history professor at Stony Brook, and she specializes in history of science and technology. And she was on Adam Becker's Dreaming Against the Machine podcast episode that came out today. And I really recommend it. She's very smart, very thoughtful. One of the things that she said early on that really got my attention is that she also had a background in math and she was doing a lot of theoretical explorations and said, well, I can calculate this, but how is it actually going to work in the real
Mm-hmm.
world? And so she
Mm-hmm.
shifted to the industrial side of things and then looking at the history and where it might be going. And so she was just super thoughtful, but very practical. And I think we need to hear from more people like her.
Yeah, definitely. Because she also there was one section I was kind of going gaga over, which is she and Adam Becker were vibing really well, but the discussion of how people will say AI is going to do this or AI is going to do that. And she's
Mhm.
like, AI is not going to do anything. That's obscuring a political and social policy conversation. And you're hiding that conversation and failing to have it by
Hmm.
saying that, by accepting that premise. And I'm like, yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, and she said it in the context of getting questions from students who are trying to figure out what to do. Should I learn to code? Well, if AI is going to do it, then what should be my career path? And she said, no, that's the struggle. Like you're the
Hmm.
human, you figure out what you want to do.
Right.
and make it work rather than just sitting back and letting AI happen to you. And I
Right.
think we can see evidence of that in lots of different disciplines, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. But one thing we wanted to do, because we've been concerned about it and interested in the idea, is to talk a little bit about our book as publication dates coming closer, and kind of check in to see if it's still relevant, because it's been about a year since we put pencils down, as you say, or put the book to bed. I remember about this time we were writing about McCullough and the Senate testimony, which
Yep.
is in the book, so we were able to get that in. But we wanted to just double check that the book is still relevant, and that we're, you know, that our, if we peel back our feeling that it is and actually scratch and below the surface, is it true? So the good news, I think it seems more relevant than ever, but we're going to walk you through a little bit of it and let you know why we think that is the case.
And these are just our opinions. But yeah, we were worried like if this hits the shelves in a year, all these problems have will have been solved,
Right.
and our um, predictions will not come true. Well, there's a this double down time. So let's talk about it.
All right, here we go. All right, so to tackle this, we're going to walk the book a little bit,
Hmm.
just kind of tour it. So we'll go through some of the main topics that are covered, but we'll do it on almost a chapter with some selected chapter titles.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
not going to talk about the whole thing.
yeah,
But
because
there,
we're not that tiresome.
no, and we do want you to read the book after you buy it, please.
That's right. This is not the audiobook, people. But but anyhow, so and we like, and some of the chapter titles I really like still. So
Mhm.
so one of them is the title is of the chapter is "Trapped in the Tech Shrine," and it kind
Yeah.
of, you know, Susanna Glickman on Adam Becker's podcast is kind of emblematic of what this chapter is about, which is that people are trapped in this tech world and they can't see themselves operating outside of it or controlling it necessarily.
Hmm. So what was the inspiration for this chapter topic? Because you came up with it.
Yeah, so the idea was that when, and you and I both went through this, when we went into
Hmm.
the transition from print to digital, we became very dependent on technology vendors to provide us with strategic insights. And it permeated the organizations that we worked for, because all of a sudden we went from having a webmaster who was a guy with a server who knew how to register a domain name, to all of a sudden having CTOs and CIOs and all of that kind of stuff, and then whole staffs, and every idea had to have some sort of tie back to something going on in Silicon Valley to be viewed as legitimate, because it was this kind of inevitability. So it was like this worshipfulness of tech.
Hmm.
And so we were in the
Well, we were,
shrine. Yeah.
yeah, we were worshiping the potential, right? And
Some
seeing,
people were.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like, what could we do differently, faster, cheaper, broader? But at least from my perspective, it was from a practical business perspective, not the inevitability notion or an ideological
Yeah,
stance
but
that it
I think
should
the
be like
culture,
this.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
the culture took over though, and I think
Hmm.
that since we put the book to bed, that only has only seemed to accelerate. You know,
Yeah.
we have, you know, the introduction of various LLM and AI driven initiatives. You have just the dominance of tech leaders in the political realm, and you know, they're kind of lecturing us about social policy and how we shouldn't be whining about tax rates and, you know, things like that. They've really, you know, the the leaders of the tech shrine are now thinking they have more power over our lives than ever. And then you
Hmm.
have, recently Wiley had some major departures from people who, were came up through their society journals programs,
Hmm.
and now they're being supplanted by, a person who looks like the most prominent background she has is from Microsoft. And so
Hmm.
it seems like this tech shrine kind of way of living is even more embedded than it was when we put the book to bed.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, and in the meantime, between putting journals online and where we are today, um, there was the emergence of there's a software for that.
hmm
Softwares are the solution
right.
for
Software is eating the
business
world.
problems or bad behavior or this and that. And so there's this like mushroom farm of softwares for that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it just cracks me up. Like going through LinkedIn, it's like an author or a reviewer will post something, and then immediately it's like, well, we got some softwares for that. And
It's so true. My
and it's
program
like,
can handle that idea. It's like, well, you know what else could
yeah,
do it? Like a good hour of editing.
or just judgment,
Yeah.
human judgment.
Yeah.
So,
So we've kind of, it's accelerated, it's solidified. I think that, it's become, but I also think, and this gets to, I think people are also more aware of it. Like they're
mhm.
seeing that they're like, this is a weird edifice that we're caught within.
Yeah.
And do we really need to be in here? Or should I go listen to my vinyl records and, go have a hot dog? But so then another chapter that we wanted to check in on is called an ad models for scientific claims. And I think what's happened since we put the book to bed with that is that more people are becoming more aware of it and less comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
Hmm.
That's good. I think it's good, because our position is you should be uncomfortable with it. It's not a great model on any dimension, really.
Right. And as we were kind of working through what do we mean by an ad model for scientific claims is, and we've talked about this before, written about it a lot, is that this environment that we're in, where people pay to have papers published and made free to everyone, is an advertising model.
hmm
And it wouldn't have passed the post office if it was going through the mail. And it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And so there's, paid ads. What we're calling paid ads is basically open access without any restrictions. And then there's also the PR, the press release,
For
preprints
the
are,
attention economy.
yeah,
Yeah.
preprints for the attention economy are press releases that don't even need to be checked, you know.
The funniest example we found, which we didn't, I don't think either you or I expected, but you found it, which is for OA articles, I think it was on Wiley.
Uh-huh.
They actually have ads on the OA articles that you download.
Right. So there's ads on the paid for ads, and then those papers get picked up all over the world as fodder for advertising based scientific
Claims
newsletters.
in
No,
the
no, no, no. For like the journal, it's not real journalism. It's just they
hmm
just get picked up to be
right,
covered in other publications that are also ad supported. So
right.
there's like
So
one, two,
it's a
three.
clickbait
Yeah, it's
advertising
right.
ecosystem.
Yeah. And so when the people who are complaining about the government paying for research and then paying for publishing charges and then paying for subscriptions, they're like, that's a triple charging. Well, this is a gazillion charging, right? Like that it is totally out of control. And who knows
Right.
who's making money off of ads based on a single paper.
It's so funny. It's so funny. But that gets into the next one that we wanted to talk about, which is a chapter called Everything Counts, Nothing Matters,
Hmm.
which is about how so many metrics have become severely compromised by this high volume, high throughput redundancy based publication environment that has been created to in response to all the various incentives that are going on the producer side.
Yeah, it's the metrics that were designed to count papers within and usage of papers and citations of papers within a controlled environment
Mm-hmm.
have just been blown to bits, and now
Mm-hmm.
people are trying to like pick up the confetti and
Mm-hmm.
put it back
Right.
together and then put it into a math model and say this is important or not. And
Right.
it's just it
We found a
it's
way to reconstruct papers, evidence put through a paper shredder. It's like that only happens in Hollywood
yeah.
people, and why would you do that? So, but yeah, it's become even worse since we put the book to bed. It's become even more relevant because we've seen, you know, top journal lists hijacked, top article lists hijacked. We've seen, I mean, so many things are just, you have to, and then the emergence of the LLM crawlers and bots has, now everything, the new technology wall is Cloudflare,
Yeah.
right? Everybody has to go through that. And if you don't, I've never not made it through that, but sometimes you get you're all the way through, or you have to click on a prove you're not a bot box or whatever it is. But yeah, it's just, everything is being tested now to make sure that it's real because nothing matters.
Well, and the latest is the zero clicks, right?
Right,
Is
right.
is is publishers trying to what do we do if we're not getting any clicks because our content has been summarized
Yeah.
into AI digest, and then I've seen some writing about, well, if the people who actually do click through to your source, then they're
Hmm.
a higher value
Right.
target consumer. They
Yeah.
really they took the time to go through the Cloudflare
Yeah,
thing to
and the
get to
AI
you.
summary,
But
yeah.
it's yeah, and so it's like we've gone full circle, or we're getting there where we went to this click economy, attention economy, and started to pivot towards maximizing those metrics. And now that the rug has been pulled out from under that by AI, it's like, well, maybe we should think metrics. And
Hmm.
yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
Great idea. Let's do
Yeah.
that.
Little too little too late, but good luck with that. So another one that we wanted to check in on is a chapter we called Amateur Hour. And this
Hmm.
was the whole idea that you have bunch of kind of a bunch of people coming in who don't really have the credentials to talk about what they're doing or do what they're doing. And these are the Substack people. These are the people running Gaslight journals. They're they pass themselves off as experts, but they're really kind of not. And that has a range of they're just not very good at it to they have an intention of
Yeah.
misleading the other people. And so I think that has become even more prevalent and difficult to deal with. But there's also been more bright lights because more qualified people have injected themselves into these spaces to set things straight. You have
Hmm.
Jessica Knurik, you have Beth Jacobs, you have Dr. Rubin, you have Dr. Mike, you
Andrea
have
Love. Yeah.
Andrea Love, you have all of these really strong voices.
Science-based medicine.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think that it's still a really dangerous area, but also the other thing that has changed is Substack is kind of losing its luster, which I think that is something that's changed quite a bit.
It is, but it's still a powerhouse, and the people who are already subscribers who like the information that they're getting, they don't care. And it's an easy platform for people to use.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, the the relationship between scientific papers, predominantly open access and preprints, means that people who have an agenda and an audience to serve outside of the scientific literature have a lot of things to pull from. So
Mm-hmm.
McCullough, Nicholas Holscher, all of the Dr. Drew, all of these people have a minefield of literature to pull from to support in their positioning and what they want to sell to people. And then they have things that are science-based paper objects that
Mm-hmm.
say, look, this is a landmark study, and
Right,
there's
right.
no such thing
Here's
as
the proof.
there can't be thousands of landmark studies coming out every day. That's not a thing. But the people who are paying for their Substack subscriptions, or at least following them on the internet, don't know that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
that's another
Um,
advertising model or a subscription model for people who don't want to charge subscriptions anymore.
yeah, 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 yeah. I know it's a weird. It's when we talk about this a little bit in the book. It's weird how the Substack paywall actually creates. I mean, they're leveraging the idea that you'd only pay for good information,
Uh-huh.
and then they let crappy information from conspiracy theorists and Nazis and others out through that kind of. It's a canny way to fool people. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we're not we're going to make you pay for this bad
Hmm.
information, and so it can't be bad information if you're paying for it ipso facto. And then you start, as a consumer, you start thinking, well, it can't be bad information. I'm paying for it, and I'm going to defend it because you have don't want to have
You're
buyer's remorse.
invested.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally.
Hmm.
Yeah, boy, those Substack guys have fallen in my view. It's so sad. All right, so another chapter is called, taking a title from Lawrence Lessig book, Code is Law, and it's still as relevant as ever. Creative Commons is just creative confusion,
Mm.
and done for a very intentional purpose. But it you came across something which was really funny to me. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the other day I saw Creative Commons has a webinar coming up,
Yeah.
and so I was curious because they're talking about, Creative Commons in the age of AI and things like that. And there's a panel, and I clicked on it. I was like, because this is the type of thing I'm interested in. I can't wait to see what they're gonna talk about. And it's the registration is hosted on GoFundMe. What are you talking about? Information wants to be free, and now
Right.
25 years later, you got to ask the
Did you go
people
in
who
to see
want to
what
learn.
what the rates were?
Wow. It's just like, whatever. It's a
Whatever you
fundraiser.
can
Whatever
afford.
you can afford,
Yeah.
less
So you
than the.
could, well, it was like you could be kind of, the language was really funny. It's like, we'll flatter you a little if you attend and don't do anything. We'll flatter you more if you pay $25. We'll flatter you even more if you pay $50. And if you go way beyond, we're in love with you forever. And it's like, really? This is just gross. And then it's like two people who, talking about it, who I haven't really heard much from in 15 years.
Well, where are all the tech billionaires who have been
Yeah,
profiting from CC
right,
all this time? Why aren't they sponsoring it? Or at least they don't have to tell us they're sponsoring it. Just don't ask us to pay
right.
you to
A
make our stuff
fundraiser. Go
free
fund
to
me.
go to these billionaires. I
Yeah.
mean, ugh.
Go fund me, go you. Especially I looked at their 990. They've got like $20 million in the bank. They're fine. Come on, people. So that's the other. The information wants to be free, but when it is and you look it up and they're like, somebody found out. And it's like, yeah, you know why? You have to report these things because it's regulation of nonprofits.
Yeah.
Anywho, these people, creative cuckoo land. All right. So then we have another chapter called The Price of Free,
Hmm.
in quotes, free.
Yeah.
And this one seems even more relevant because now we're facing pushback about the Nelson memo and the US government paying public access, open access, rhetorical, games all you want, but paying APCs. And They
What
aren't
a
even factoring in
I just have to
the
say, but
overheads.
what a flippity floppity turn of events over this public access
Oh,
nonsense.
it was really hard to write about because I had a post out on Tuesday morning that was really hard to write about because it is such a mess. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like at one you want to attack the journals and you want them to go away, and then you want government sponsored journals and you want to pay for those, but you're not willing to pay for those, and then you want to cap APCs, and then you want to rescind the Nelson memo after you accelerated the Nelson memo. It's like this. I mean, these really are. I put in my social media, my LinkedIn post. These are chaos monkeys.
yeah.
It's the
And
chaos
that's the
monkeys of
point.
Project 2025. So,
Yeah, they keep changing the rules, coming up with new schemes,
hmm
trying to do weird math. And then alongside it, they are restricting the ability for government-sponsored scientists to collaborate internationally or to
right,
publish internationally. They're just creating this crazy spaghetti of potential regulations, ideas about what should be done. Do we know what's going to be enforced or not? Who do they even have working for them to keep track of all this? I don't
I know. Well, and
like
I mean, that's the game, right? That's how they
right.
succeed. Is there
It's a
you
it's a
can't tag them
mind.
with anything because they're not
Yeah.
doing anything, kind of not doing anything, and then when they do something, they're like, well, it's just kind of. It was just a thought, we didn't really say that. It's just they're not serious, but they sure get away with a lot and hurt a lot because NIH funding's, you know, screwed
Yeah.
up. Scientists are leaving. You know, scientific projects are shut down, and now they're throwing this kind of chaos into the scientific publishing space again, which they've been doing since this administration started. But this is the price of free, right? It's become known that there's a price to it, right?
Hmm.
People don't necessarily like it. I gave a talk a couple of weeks ago, and I wrote about it, but I think that the idea that you as a publisher have a tentpole journal that is subscription,
Hmm.
and then if somebody gets rejected from that, you offer them to be considered by your pay for play, pay to play journal, gold OA journal. That hits them in a really they're offended.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, this now feels like you know a little sleazy.
Yeah.
And who can blame them? But they also realize they're kind of stuck.
Hmm.
And so it's just, the price of free, I think, has, again, since we put the book to bed, I think that the psychic science and fiscal price of this have all those prices have become more attenuated, and people really are sensitized to them.
Yeah, the price of free is a race to the bottom.
Hmm.
So, on the one hand, the publication outlets that can maintain their profitability by spending the less on quality are going to attract more papers. And on the other hand, the publishers who are trying to maintain scientific integrity and editorial rigor are having to invest more.
Hmm.
And so it's a lose-lose either way.
Right. Yep. Yep. All right. Another one that we wanted to check in on is a chapter called Feudalism Makes a Comeback.
Hmm.
And yeah, this one's been interesting since we put it to bed because it ties into a couple of other ones. But I'm really, really glad that we talked about Jeffrey Epstein in the
Hmm.
book in a few places. But this slippery slope has already started to slip.
It's slip sliding away.
Yeah. So which is I think a good thing. I mean, these,
Yeah.
not all change is bad, and having, Bill Gates have to shut his pie hole and
Hmm.
cough up all his cash is not a bad thing.
Hmm.
Getting rid of putting the pressure on, people who have, billions of dollars And remember, I always love this analogy. A million seconds is 12 weeks. A billion seconds is 32 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have $1 billion, come on. So
Mm-hmm.
anyhow, but there's been a general increase in a sense that things are unfair, that billionaires need to be brought to heel. That's why Jeff Bezos was actually went on TV and said, "Not so fast. It's not going to help that nurse in Queens." It's like, well, I liked what Scott Galloway and Kara Swisher said, which is exactly what I think was on our minds, which is, well, let's try it.
Right.
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Uh-huh.
Not going to change anything. Well, then why not just try it?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But
but
and the main theme, for this chapter is how a few wealthy funders have changed the landscape of the
mm-hmm,
practice and business of scientific publishing,
mm-hmm,
mostly due to open access. And
mm-hmm,
so taking marching orders from the people who are paying the scientists to do the research, but also dictating where and how they should publish, was a big focus for a long time, and it still is. And
mm-hmm,
now that has created a feudal system.
mm-hmm,
And instead of the publishers with established businesses that have been around for, in some cases, a century, saying,
or
no, this is
more.
our business. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is how we run it. Okay, well, we'll take your scraps, billionaires, and we'll morph our business models towards you.
Mm-hmm.
And now, that's the thing with billionaires. They can change their mind. They don't know what
Yep.
they're gonna, we don't know what they're gonna be interested
Yeah.
in,
Or they have feet of clay
tomorrow
too, and
or
maybe they've got, an
yeah.
airline ticket to an island that they shouldn't have been visiting, and
Right.
and there you go. Um,
So
so,
that chapter is still relevant.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Another one that is called "Not the Same as the Old Boss,"
Hmm.
and this was writing this. I remember thinking, because you really got onto this scent first and best, and I was following along like the dumb friend. And and picking up your candy wrappers as you're like, oh, okay, here we go. This is a good one. And but it was, this whole idea of eugenics and Fantasyland, trad wives and breeding facilities and all the crazy stuff that Adam Becker in his book really consolidated in a meaningful way.
Hmm.
But I'm really, really glad this is in there because now you see something like the SpaceX prospectus, which and this is reading directly from the show notes people, cuckoo banana pants.
Totally cuckoo.
And they have
Oh, who
41
was it?
pages of rocket imagery.
Yeah, just
I mean,
yeah.
I do not want to picture
It makes,
Elon's.
I think it was Scott Galloway who said this makes the WeWork prospectus. And I don't know how much you know about that,
Mm,
but that was nuts.
yeah,
What they were doing. We're gonna make the world a better place by, buying up
having
real
right
estate. Um,
fractional office sharing. Yeah,
yeah, they decided to get creative and all that. It didn't work out very well for
no,
them. But this is nutso. Like
yeah.
this is taking it to the people. What the worm inside of
RFK's
Elon's.
brain.
Well, yeah, I think they merged with Elon's mouth, and that's what
Okay.
we've got.
Yeah, I mean it's insane how the more like Andreessen talks and Musk talks and even Bezos, again, if they were smart at this point, they would just shut up,
Zip it.
zip it, and try to make this last as long as you can because but this is the reason we wrote the chapter is when you when you adopt practices in the tech shrine, you also adopt some of this belief system, whether you like it or not, whether you acknowledge it or not, whether you know it or not. And
Hmm.
because you end up supporting it, and that's
I'd
and it's
also
more
like to add,
relevant than ever too. Yeah.
well, yeah, I'd like to add that there's also been a lot of short-term big dollars going
Mm-hmm.
towards these ideas. If you look
Mm-hmm.
across again, the private funder space, the biohubs that they want to sponsor,
Mm-hmm.
the pet projects like longevity, they're dumping a lot of money into the things that are interesting to them, which could
Mm-hmm.
be interesting for scientists because they're getting funding, they're learning and writing about things that these people are interested in,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a completely different landscape than it was before.
Right. I mean, you could, when I was reading the little bit of the SpaceX prospectus that I read, and then listening to people talk about it, you could imagine all of that money going towards solar farms
Mhm.
and EV charging stations to electrify the American auto fleet and solve climate crises and all this stuff. So their priorities, this is what makes it so deviant, is their priorities, and it's the same with a lot of the tech people, are inspired by these fantasies that you can burn the earth to a crisp, and we'll
Mhm.
use AI to escape it, and then we'll populate the galaxy with all sorts of wonderful trad wives and Elon Musk's IVF children, and that's crazy. So their
But
funding whims are distorting science away and scientific efforts away from things that actually are needed.
Well, and it would be one thing if they were, again, we're just doing them in their own little bubbles. There've been
Hmm.
plenty of these private research labs for decades or
Right.
even
Yeah.
longer. And if you want to spend your money to learn how to, I don't know, grow a new big toe,
Right.
it's up to you. But the difference now is they have the ear literally
Hmm.
of the US government,
Yep.
and their stories are more compelling in terms of what could be and what should be
Hmm.
than public health or
Climate change.
practical applications that would benefit the rest of us. And so,
Yeah.
but what I think people are starting to see that divide grow larger and larger.
Hmm.
And hopefully it'll collapse on one side. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Hopefully, but I think this chapter is still really relevant and
Mhm.
and a reminder that of all these other things that are going on. A couple other chapters. One is entitled "What Does an LLM quote unquote know?" And this one we've seen is more relevant than ever because we've seen the rise of commercial plays like Open Evidence and others. We've seen the struggles of OpenAI and ChatGPT and other LLMs to do, the whole generative AI dream is kind of falling apart. We've seen some practical applications like Claude in the coding environment. So it's more relevant than ever, and I like this chapter when I reread it recently because it does kind of take you through the experience of trying to figure out something.
Hmm.
Because there are three cases that we use in the chapter, kind of like this is how people think they know this, but maybe you don't really know it, or maybe even the reporters who reported on it or published it in journals didn't really know it at the time that they published it in journals, and maybe they still don't know it.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah, what I didn't expect to happen between last year and today is the launch and massive endorsements for products like Open Evidence.
Yeah, that one was
And
shocking.
that's really disturbing.
Hmm.
And I totally get it. There's a lot of, it seems like a great idea. You just
Hmm.
chuck all the papers into a soup and
Hmm.
press a button and you're going to get some answers. But anybody who knows anything about scientific papers and how they interact with each other, meaning
Right.
that they don't,
Right.
without a human curating them.
They barely interact with the real world.
Yeah.
I mean, they're there for a particular purpose, and
Yeah.
it's as a sign, it's a notice on a bulletin board in a community room that's actually much smaller than you think, and
Hmm.
then people read the notice and they go, "Huh, interesting." Okay, and they move on.
Yeah.
It's just,
And
just yeah,
yeah, I
over.
know we've
Yeah,
been through this before, but I can't
I
stop
know.
saying
I no,
there are
I'm ready to have
products
45 minutes on this one alone. But
there are products that have been around for a long time that employ humans to take papers into recommendations,
mhm,
and there's no way this is going to supplant that. So,
no, no, yeah.
uh,
I think it's a good chapter because it's a reminder that, and this is what we've done a few times, but that you can't do it on every topic. But if you use open evidence or you use one of these LLMs and really, again, kick it into the next gear where you're like, wait a second, is that quite right?
hmm. But
And
also
you find that it's not.
right. And again, to reiterate, the business model of these uh, products and platforms is not to make sure that you get the right answer. It's to
Hmm.
get your eyeballs and your keystrokes and maybe your PIN. And
Hmm.
so their motivations for having papers and other information is just the bait to learn more about
Yeah,
you.
to sell ads to you. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right, so that's still relevant, even more relevant, and a good reminder. And then the last one, and this ties into it, is a chapter called Unnatural Science, which is exactly what we were just talking about, how you get these synthesized versions of the world, and that becomes the version everybody uses, and it's not really what is the world. And what was I just reading today? Something about that, where it's just so clear that AI is a power play, that it's
Hmm.
not really about elucidating, nature or discovering new things, but it's really about dominating humans.
Yeah, it's brute force
Hmm.
and it's selling a lot of chips and propping up a lot of markets.
Yeah.
And again, always there are practical uses. We're not anti advancement,
Right.
but in what we've seen from our perspective in our industry, what's happened is that the content that has been so carefully curated forever is being completely distorted and taken advantage of to drive ideas, businesses,
Investments.
and investments
Hmm.
that this content wasn't purpose built to serve.
Yep, absolutely. And so then we also end with recommendations, but that's that. So bottom line, we
We
think
do.
the
I
book.
did. You just skipped over that. That's an important part.
Oh, I know.
We do end with recommendations. We're not just here looking at the past and grumbling about it. Um,
Oh no, no,
as practical people,
no. In fact, we've got more
and,
than just
and-
suggestions in store, but we'll talk about
yeah,
that at some point in the future.
yeah.
But yeah, we end with some. I think, and I read the suggestions a couple of days ago again, just to review them, and it's like, yeah, those are still pretty solid.
Hmm.
They're gonna make some people want to argue with us, and some already have been, but that's
Hmm.
okay. Argue with us all you want.
Yeah.
We're open to having our minds changed, but so far nothing's changed my
Hmm.
mind. So
I mean, I have some more recommendations now that we know what we're dealing with, but maybe
yeah,
that's part two.
yeah. Well, call us if you want a recommendation. You know who you are. So you just got if you just got that cold chill down your spine, you know we're talking about you. So give us a call. All right. So bottom line, we think the book's more obviously relevant than it was when we put pens down. We think there's been some changes we didn't expect, but we
Hmm.
still touch on and put them into context. And I think one of the things that I've heard some authors, because we've been kind of paying more attention to author interviews
Yeah.
since we put the book into press, is that we've heard authors say again and again, you know, I thought I was being really hard on people and really harsh when I wrote the book, and now that it's out, people are saying, why didn't you go even further and go even harder at them because we think they're terrible and even
Mhm.
worse. And I'm like, I think we might have that reaction
Yeah.
when we get out there. So,
Well, it's funny as you're saying that, I was thinking, well, that's because it takes, a year to put out a book like this.
hmm
Um, if you're just little old you and me, some people can
right.
put books out faster. But maybe the contra to that is why don't you just post it online for free and you can make it available to everybody tomorrow?
Right,
No,
right.
no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's why we have the geyser, to be
Hmm.
honest. But also, I think that, when you write a book as a compositional, you get a voice when you're
Yeah.
writing a book. And I don't think our voice, well, I don't know. I think we could have been that chirpy. But again, I just think that, the observation is that these people are bad and they've only gotten worse.
Yeah.
And the
And that's a
incentives are
good
bad and they've only been more exploited.
hmm And that's a good point. It You've been writing serially about this on the Geyser for a very, very long time. This book is not a compilation of Geyser posts. It's a synthesis of bigger topics, drawing on a lot of the work that you've done over the years, and then adding additional research and context to create narratives. So
hmm
all of these chapters are based around stories, people,
Yep.
anecdotes, but and again, lots of footnotes.
Lots of footnotes. All right. So, shall we move on to discoveries of the week?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So, discoveries of the week. Joy, it's your turn to kick it off. What do you got?
Okay. So I learned something from Bryan Cranston the other day.
Hmm. Interesting
No,
choice.
I mean, not he didn't call me up and tell me. I was
Oh, I was
listening
going
to
to
a
say, yeah. See your new
we're not
pickleball partner?
Oh, he'd be a great pickleball partner. Uh,
He would be. He's very limber and energetic.
yeah. Well, he was very limber and energetic on Ike Barinholtz has a new podcast about trivia. It's a fun listen.
Okay.
It's a trivia based podcast, and so he talks to people and about things that they know about and tries to trip them up with tricky questions. But anyway, apparently Bryan Cranston is a huge Dodgers fan. And
Hmm.
so he knows everything about the Dodgers. And one of the things that he mentioned as a fun fact that I didn't know was the origin of the term moonshot.
Okay.
And I always thought it had to go with going to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a book, it's in my basement somewhere. I meant to look it up. Have you seen that book, Moonshots? Came out a few years back.
Mm.
It's kind of one of these like pop business ideas books about
Okay.
people
Got
who
it.
people who kind
Go
of
for broke.
go for broke and things like that.
Yep.
And
Burn the boats.
yeah, but it's basically, thinking outside the box and don't care what, don't let the people hold you down.
Right.
But apparently, and maybe you already know this because you're more of a sports fan than I am, but the origin of the term moonshot came from Vin Scully, the
Mm.
Dodgers
Oh, I
announcer.
just heard his voice. He had the best sportscasting voice.
Uh-huh. And because Wally Moon, an outfielder for the Dodgers, when they moved to the new stadium, he figured out how to do a crazy left hit the outside ball to get it up over this asymmetric fence that they had. And
Okay.
so he adapted his swing to swing literally over the to get it over the
Right,
fence.
right. Yeah, he found a
Yeah.
spot. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it wasn't a normal swing, but it was a hack that he perfected. And his
Wally
name
Moon is his name, right?
is Wally Moon. And so it's a moonshot. And so
I did not know that.
that was in the 50s. And
Wow.
and then in the 60s it got adapted by the space program and
Right,
all of that. And
right,
so
right. And then finally, and the pharma and everybody else,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Business world. Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. I did not know that.
Yeah, so it had nothing to do with the the orb in
Space
the
program
sky.
or
No.
the orb in the sky.
Yeah.
Wally Moon.
Yeah.
Huh. Did
Thanks,
not know that.
Wally.
That's a fantastic one.
Hmm.
Wow. I've got Dodgers fans in the family and Vin Scully fans in the family, so I'll have to share that one with them. They'll love it.
Yeah.
All right, nice.
Thanks,
So
Bryan
my
Cranston.
Yeah, thanks, Brian Cranston. Pickleball with Joy anytime. She'll make room on her calendar for you. So mine is my kids are getting to the age where they're starting to they and their friends are working for interesting places, and one of them works for the LA. One of my daughter's friends works for LA 28, the Olympics,
Mm.
and she's kind of a big wig. She used to work for USA Pickleball, Joy. So,
Oh,
hmm. So anyhow, but
I have beef with USA Pickleball. I don't want to get rated. They keep trying to pressure me to get rated, but I don't want to because
I
it's
luckily she's out of that whole racket. No pun intended.
I don't want to
But
get paid to be judged. I don't want to pay to get judged on my abilities. I just want to play for fun. Sorry, go on.
noted, noted, noted. But anyhow, so the families recently got together for a nice luncheon, and I was talking to her, and she was talking about how they have all these new events for the 28 Olympics, softball and men's and women's softball are coming back, and all this. And then she said, but they're dropping breakdancing after the Paris Olympics. And I said, oh, Reagan's not going to repeat. She's like, no, Reagan's not going to repeat.
You know,
And that was my sad discovery of the week, that
well,
not going to
I
have
think
a two-time breakdance Olympic champion, at least not in 28.
that was a weird thing to do, but it also gave us Ray Gun, and
Hmm.
thank you for your service. That's going to be on the on the Trivial Pursuit
Absolutely.
forever, and people are going to be
Absolutely.
like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, she was a breakout star. She was a breakout star. I mean,
Literally.
say what you say what you will. You still can picture her.
So,
You still remember that.
do they have any new sport? You said softball.
Oh, they're bringing softball back.
Is
She
there
had a
anything?
bunch.
Yeah,
There's nothing that jumped out as being exotic.
yeah.
But the one thing she did say is that the previous Olympics, there were 16 men's soccer matches and 12 women's, and this time in 28, there's going to be 16 women's and 12 men's because the
Nice.
women's tournaments are so much more popular.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah. If you want to watch, you can watch the World Cup. We want to see more women play soccer in the Olympics.
yeah, yeah. But just so you know, you can if you're breakdancing in hopes of making the Olympic team,
All right,
you can slow your roll.
I'll
It's going to be at
cancel.
least 32 before you get
I'll
to it.
I'll cancel my lessons. Withdraw my application.
All right. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to our friends at Provoke the Truth for the music. If you have topics you want us to cover, please email us at disruptedscience@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can also keep up with developments at the Geyser, where you can subscribe to support our efforts. Thanks so much for the listens and the feedback, and we'll be back when we have something to say, which shouldn't be in too long.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. See you later.